Today, the topic of discussion is the need of the boilers for the power plants. Before going into the detailed discussion of different type of power plants like gaseous power plants or the vapor power cycle, we will discuss some important components that are associated with the power plants. One of the major component of the power cycle is the for any type of power cycle is the boiler. So first we will discuss what is boiler, what are the main types of boiler, what components that affect the efficiency and working of the boiler, and most important, how we can select the boiler for different types of the application. So what is the boiler? Boiler is an apparatus that is used to produce the steam. Thermal energy released by the combustion of fuel is transferred to the water, which vaporizes and gets converted into the steam at the desired temperature and pressure. Let's say you can see in the figure the basic component or the working fluid for the boiler is water. There is an inlet from which the water enter into the boiler. When the water enter into the boiler due to the combustion reaction, there is a combustion chamber. Uh, there is the classification of boiler based on the combustion chamber that we will discuss later. There is a combustion chamber placed, and in the combustion chamber it can be a coal fired or any type of the source we can use, and with the help of a combustion the water is converted into vapors, and when the more heat is supplied, this vapor gets converted into the steam, and this steam is then further transferred to the different type of the system. So the main purpose of the boiler is to convert the water into the steam. Like the most important and the common example of the boiler is the geysers in our house. You can see in the geyser the cold water is supplied. There is a one inlet for the normal temperature or the ambient water that is supplied. There is a source of a combustion, and due to this combustion the water is converted, the cold water is converted into the hot water, because our purpose in the geyser is not to convert into the steam, it is just converted, is just to increase the temperature. So that water is converted into the hot water. So similarly happen into the boiler, the water is converted into the steam. You can see the major component. This is the drum of the water. This part is the drum of the boiler. This is the combustion chamber. These are the water tubes. In the water tube there is a water, and the surrounding is the fire, and there is a water inlet. One is for the water inlet for the cold water or the ambient water, and second inlet is for the steam, and the exhaust or the flue gases is transferred into the atmosphere, or further it can be utilized into some other system that depends on the working of the power plant. So what is the purpose of steam, or why we produce the steam, or why we use the boilers? So producing the mechanical work by expanding it in a steam engine or a steam turbine. This steam produced from the boiler, further it can be utilized for the steam engines or the steam turbines, and in the steam engines or the steam turbine it is expand, and due to the expansion there is some work output, and this work output further converted into electrical work or the type of work we need. Second use of it is the heating the residential and industrial buildings. As I have told you, you can see any mall or any industrial area where the water tubes are surrounded above the floor, or you can see the water tubes onto the top of the surface, and this water tube contains hot water, and this hot water is used to heat that residential or the industrial area. It can perform certain process in the sugar mills, chemical and textile industries. Like you can different type of processes like cogeneration, separation and other processes are used in the sugar mills, chemicals and textile industries, and for this purpose boiler or the steam it will be utilized. This advantage, these type of example, further we will discuss the topic cogeneration when we will discuss the dual cycle power plant. In this we will discuss how we can use the steam in the sugar mills, in the chemical industry or in the textile industries. So further the question is how we can choose the boiler, or what requirement should the boilers fulfill for any type of process or the system. So boiler, as you know, boiler is a closed vessel in which the water is converted into steam by the application of heat. Usually the boilers are coal or a oil fired. With the source of combustion, basically it can be a coal fire or it can be oil fire. Oil, it can be a diesel oil, it can be a petrol. A boiler should fulfill the following requirement. First and the most important is the safety, because boilers contain high temperature water and that is converted into steam. If the boiler blasts, there is a large explosion and can cause a huge destruction. So whenever we have to design a boiler, it should be under the standard conditions and fulfill the requirement. There are some certain standards available for the design of the boiler, like SMA standard and ASHRAE standard. So the boiler vessels are designed according to these standards. Next one is the accessibility. So the repairing or the maintenance of the any component the design of the component should be in such a way that maintenance and the repairing should be easy. So if there is some type of maintenance required, then the boiler part should be designed in such a way that they can easily be assessed. So third one is the capacity. So whenever you have to you are going to market to purchase a geyser, there is some different capacity of the geyser, like you can buy the 10-liter geyser, 20, 30, and different type of the capacity, and you can buy according to your requirement. So similar to the boilers, when you are going to produce a steam, so the capacity is the most important requirement, and this capacity should be depend on the capacity of the power plant. Like if we have a larger power plant and the power plant required 100 liters of steam, 100 meter cubes of steam per hour, then definitely the boiler should be in the larger size. And let's say we have a smaller power plant that requires only 10 meter cube or 20 meter cubes of steam per hour, then definitely the boiler should be the smaller size. So this is the capacity is the requirement that depends on the size of the power plant, or it is that's according to our design. Next one is the efficiency. So there is a, if we see any component, the most important parameter to judge is the efficiency. So how we can judge the efficiency of the boiler? So the efficiency of the boiler, that how much water is converted into steam by assuming or by absorbing a minimum amount of heat, or the boiler should be able to absorb a maximum amount of heat produced due to the burning of fuel in the furnace. Let's say we have provided the furnace, the water, it means the maximum water is converted into the steam. If we are going to provide a larger amount of the burning source or the source of a combustion, and the water is not converted into the steam by the exact amount that we are required, then its efficiency is low. It should be simple in construction and its maintenance cost should be low. So this is the basic requirement for any component. Its initial cost should be low. If the initial cost, like the design should be in such a way that the initial cost should not be high. Basically, what is a boiler? Boiler is simply a steel vessel. So its design depends on the type of the material we are going to use, type of the manufacturing process we are going to be used. So its initial cost should be low. The boiler should have no joint exposed to the flame. Like if there are some joint, whenever the boiler pressure exceeds, then the boiler fails at the joint point. We know that there are some stresses like residual stresses, shear stresses, compression stresses. When exerted onto this special area that is to be joined by any method, then the failure will occur definitely first on that point. So the boiler should be formed by using a single sheet, or by using by going to use one layer sheet, or one layer sheet of the steel or aluminium or any other material. The boiler should be capable of quick starting and loading. Like in this way, like we not required a lot of time for the starting and for the further processing. Next, these are the main requirements. So the next is the performance of a boiler. The performance of a boiler may be measured in terms of its evaporative capacity, also called the power of a boiler, similar to the. So what is the evaporative capacity? Evaporative capacity, it is the amount of water evaporated or steam produced in kg per hour. It may also be expressed in kg per kg or fuel burn or kg per hour per meter square. It is the area of the boiler. Like if we have a larger area of the boiler, definitely it will produce larger amount of steam. Similar to if we have a boiler with a smaller area, it will produce smaller amount of steam. So if we are increasing per meter square of the area, it means the steam produced per hour definitely will be increased. So it means its evaporative capacity will be increased. There are different types of a boiler. The most common type of the boilers are the water tube boiler and the fire tube boiler. According to that, this is the type of classification according to the flow of the water and the hot gases. We will discuss what is the water tube boiler and what is the fire tube boiler. Next one is the externally fired boiler and internally fired boiler. I will discuss all these type based on the water tube and the fire tube boilers. Next one is the according to the position of principal axis. It can be vertical boiler, it can be horizontal boiler, or it can be the inclined boiler. And according to the application, it can be stationary boiler, mobile boiler. According to the circulating water, it can be natural circulation or it can be the forced circulation. According to the steam pressure, it can be low pressure boiler, medium pressure boiler, or the high pressure boiler. First, we will discuss the water tube boiler and the fire tube boiler. Then after discussing the water tube and fire tube boiler, we will discuss internal and external fire and the remaining types of the boiler. So let's move towards the water tube boilers. So in the water tube boiler, the basic, it is a such kind of boiler where the water is heated inside the tubes and hot gases surround them. Like if you can see the first figure, this is the figure. There are tubes inside the boiler, so the water is inside the tube and the hot gases surround them. See, this boiler is exactly the opposite to the fire tube boiler. While in the fire tube boiler, the hot gases are passed through the tubes which are surrounded by the water. So the boilers in our house is the fire tube boilers like geysers. So discuss the working principle of the water tube boiler. You can see the animation. There are basically two drums in the water tube boiler. One is the upper drum and the second one is the lower drum. The upper drum is also called the steam drum, while the lower drum is called the mud drum. So we can say this is the steam drum. Let us discuss. We can say okay, this is the steam drum and this is the mud drum or the lower drum. The upper and the lower drum are connected with the tubes, namely named as the risers tubes. Like these are the in between these two are connected, known as the risers tube. Water in the lower drum and in the riser is connected to heated and steam is produced, which comes to the upper drum naturally. The upper drum steam is separated from the water naturally and stored above the water surface because of the change in the density. The colder water is fed, like this is the inlet of the colder water is fed from the feed water inlet at upper drum, and as this water is heavier than the hotter water of the lower drum, and that is the riser. The colder water pushes the hotter water upward through the riser, so there is no conventional flow of water in the boiler system. More and more steam is produced, the pressure of the flow system is increased, which obstructs the conventional flow of the water, and hence the rate of production of the steam becomes low proportional. Again, if the steam is taken through the steam outlet, the pressure inside the system falls, and consequently the conventional flow of water becomes faster, and which result in the faster production of steam. In this way, the water tube boiler can control its own pressure. Now, this type of boiler is also called the self-controlled machine. Also called the self-controlled machine. So you can see the figure. This is the source of a combustion. There is the water inlet. The water flows. So this is the water inlet. Water flows through this tube, and this water is converted. Heat is transferred to these vessels. The water is converted into steam. Steam is collected in the upper drum. Cold water is in the lower drum. In between there are risers or the tube, and steam and the cold water are separated with the help of the risers or the tube. So this is the basic working of the water tube boiler. Water tube boilers are required less weight of metal for a given size, so the less liable to the exploding. There are some advantages. Because of the larger heating surface can be achieved by using the more number of the water. Due to the convectional flow, movement of water is much faster than the fire tube boiler, hence the rate of heat transfer is higher, result into the higher efficiency. We can achieve the high pressure because this is the self-controlled system, as I have already discussed. So this machine, we can use the high pressure in the water tube boiler um, rather than the fire tube boiler. So next we will move toward the classification of the water tube boiler. They can be classified as the longitudinal drum and the coarse drum. So this is the drum of the water tube boiler. First classification based on the type of the drum. So in this figure you can see this is the longitudinal drum. So it can be vertical drum or it can be longitudinal drum. So the horizontal or the longitudinal drum, it is also called this type of drum is also called the Babcock-Wilcox water tube boiler. So if we like, this is the example of the longitudinal drum boiler. In the longitudinal drum boiler, one cylindrical drum is longitudinally placed over the heating chamber. Like this is the heating chamber. In rear, the drum downcomer tube is filled, and in front of the drum riser tube is fitted as shown in the figure. The downcomer tube, these are the downcomer tubes, and the riser, this is the riser, are connected to each other by the 5 degree to 15 degree straight water tube as shown in the figure. Like you can see, this is the angle between the downcomers and this is the angle between the riser. So the angle is likely about between 5 to 15 degrees. So if we discuss the working principle, so the working principle, the longitudinal drum placed mentioned like this is in the mentioned in the construction is fed by the cold water. As you can see, this is the cold water, and rear is fed with the like this is the inlet of the cold water. As cold water is heavier, it falls down to the downcomer and the rear part of the drum. From the downcomer, the water enters into the horizontal water tube where it becomes hot and lighter. Due to this density, as the water becomes lighter, it passes up, like in this way it passes up and ultimately comes back to the boiler drum through the riser. During traveling of the water through the inclined water tube, these are the inclined water tubes, the heat absorbs of the hot gases surrounding the water tube. Like these are the water tubes, this is the hot gases. As the water flows into these tubes, due to the downcomer, the hot gas, it absorbs the heat from the hot gases and becomes lighter, and due to the change in density, the hot gases moves upward and is collected into the upper drum. And finally, further it is transferred by using the steam outlet, it is transferred to the other system. It is also called Babcock and Babcock-Wilcox boiler. It's also called Babcock's Wilcox boilers. So the next type is the cross drum boiler. So this is the picture for the cross drum boiler. So you can see it is the variant of the longitudinal boiler. In the cross drum boiler, the steam drum is placed at crossways to the heat source. So this is the heat source. You can see this is the heat source, and these are the water tubes. These are the water tubes, and the steam drum. This is the steam drum. So this is the steam drum. It is placed in the crossway to the heat source. So that's why it is called the cross drum boiler. Here the downcomer is fitted on the bottom. Like this is the downcomer is fitted on the bottom of the drum, and the riser is fitted on the top of the drum via horizontal tube. This is the horizontal tube. So in figure 5 to it's saying the angle is 5 to 15 degree inclined water tubes are connected with the downcomer. So in the working principle of the closed drum boiler is similar to the water absorbs the heat from the hot gases. As the result, the water is converted into steam, and the steam is lighter than the cold water. It rises upward into the closed drum boiler. As it rises upward, it is collected into the steam collector, and similarly, the feed water enters from the opposite. So this is the feed water endpoint, and this is the steam collecting point. So the feed water is fed to the closed drum through the feed water inlet. Then this water comes down through the downcomer pipe. This is the downcomer pipe. This is the downcomer pipe. These are the water tubes. Water is converted into steam. Steam goes upward. This is the cross drum boiler converted in. This is the cross drum collected into this steam collector, and finally it is collected here. Steam. So this is the. So the third type of the boiler is the bent tube boiler. In the bent tube boiler, we have 2 drum, 3 drum, low head 3 drum, 4 drum. So this is the picture of the bent tube boiler. You can see the tubes are bent. Like these tubes are the bent tubes. So these are the number of drum 1, 2, and 3. On the basis of the number of drum, we can further classify the bent tube boiler, also called the Stirling boiler. Stirling boiler. It is the developed version of the water tube boiler. The working principle of the bent tube boiler is more or less like the water tube boiler, but it utilizes the 4 drum. This is the mud drum, basically in which the water is collected, cold water. These are the steam drum. So 3 drums are placed. You can see 3 drums are placed on the heat source, as shown in the video. 4th drum is placed inside the heat chamber. This is the complete. This complete is the heat chamber. So 4th drum is placed inside the heat chamber. So upper 3 drums are connected with equalizer tube. These tubes are known as the equalizer tube, as shown in the figure. Right, the feed water first enters into. This is the feed water enters into the rightmost upper drum. Due to the more density, this water comes down. This water comes down like in this way, down. In the lower water drum, the water within that water drum, then connecting pipes to the upper 2 drums are heated up, and consequently the steam bubbles are produced. This is the most basic working principle of the bent tube boiler. The capacity of this boiler is much high because of the number of the drums. As we increase the number of drums, the capacity of the steam can be increased. Like if there are 3 drums, 4 drums, then the capacity will be increased accordingly. So this type of the boiler, we can say it is the advanced or the modern version of the water tube boiler, and it is mostly used. It can be mostly used. The next one is the next classification is the cyclone 5 boilers. So we will discuss the 5 tube boilers. In the 5 tube boiler, the hot products of the combustion pass through the tubes which are surrounded by the water. This is exactly opposite to the water tube boiler. In water tube boiler, water in the tubes, and this is the heat source. But now, water inside the drum, and water is inside the drum, and the heat inside the tube. So the principle is exactly opposite to the water tube boiler. If we discuss which type of boiler is less dangerous or we can use more conveniently, then the answer will be the water tube boiler. Why? If there is some explosion in the water tube boiler, then as the water is in the tube, so there is a less chances of the if the pressure exceeds above the limit and there is an explosion, then there is a less chances of the we can say हमारे पास जो at the end जो नुकसान होगा वो कम होगा, क्योंकि वाटर जो है वो ट्यूब, देयर इज वाटर इज इनसाइड द ट्यूब. बट इन केस ऑफ फायर ट्यूब बॉयलर, जो फायर है वो ट्यूब्स के अंदर है, जबकि वाटर जो है वाटर इज इनसाइड द ड्रम. सो जब एक्सप्लोजन होगा तो वाटर जो है, हाई टेम्परेचर वाटर जो है वो सेपरेट होगा, एंड ड्यू टू दिस देर आर मोर चांसेस टू एक्सप्लोर, एंड देर आर नुकसान के चांसेस भी जो है हमारे पास ज्यादा होंगे। दैट्स व्हाई हमारे पास जो मोस्ट कन्वीनियंटली वी कैन यूज द वाटर ट्यूब बॉयलर रेदर देन द fire tube boiler. Secondly, although the fire tube boilers had a low initial cost, but due to their likely explosion, we cannot prefer the water tube boiler. We will always prefer the we cannot prefer the fire tube boiler. We will always prefer the water tube boiler. So this is the classification: horizontal return tubular boiler, short firebox boiler, and the compact boiler. Mostly the water tube, fire tube boiler. Achha, next we'll discuss, before going to the further classification, according to the position of funnel. It can be internally fired or the externally fired. In the internally fired boiler, the combustion chamber are enclosed within the boiler shaft. Whereas in case of externally fired boiler, the furnace and the combustion chamber are separated from the boiler, similar to the internal and external combustion engine. Next one is the vertical, horizontal, and inclined that we discuss in the water tube boiler. Next one is the according to application. It can be stationary and it can be mobile. Stationary, like for the power plant, and mobile in the case whenever we have to move, like in the for the railway, for the steam, for the locomotives, marine system, the boiler should be the mobile. According to the circulating water, it can be natural circulation or it can be forced circulation. In case of a natural circulation, water comes down from the downcomer, from the feed water system to the downcomer naturally, while in forced circulation system, the source of the water or the water is spread into the system with the help of some pump or some other force, by means of some force. So this is the classification according to the circular water. Next is the according to the steam pressure. It can be low pressure, it can be medium pressure, it can be high pressure. It all depends on the requirement. Whatever the requirement of the system, if the system required high pressure steam, then we definitely will use the high steam pressure. Mostly for the high pressure, we will prefer the water tube boiler. So move towards the fire tube boilers. So if we discuss the working of the fire tube boiler, the fire tube boiler, the fire fuel is burned inside the furnace. The hot gas is produced in the furnace, then passes through the fire tube. So these are the fire tubes. These are the fire tubes. There is some source of combustion. Hot gas is produced and passed through these tubes. The water is inside the drum, so heat is transferred between the water and the between the fire tubes and the shell or the drum in which the water contained. Due to this heat transfer, there is a change in density, and due to this density difference, the steam is lighter than the cold water. It moves upward and is collected into the further steam collector. As the hot gases are produced through these tubes, the heat energy of the gases is transferred to the water surrounding. As a result, steam is generated and naturally comes up, is stored up in the water in the same vessel of the fire tube boiler. I have already discussed the capacity of this boiler is about 9 metric ton of the steam per hour. So in a fire tube boiler, if there in a fire tube boiler, the main boiler vessel is under pressure. So if there is a burst in the vessel, there will be a possibility of major accident due to this explosion. So next we move toward the classification of the boiler. We have external furnace boiler or the internal furnace boiler. As I have already discussed, the external furnace boiler, the combustion chamber is placed, or the source of the combustion is not inside the compact shell, but it is placed outside. While in the internal furnace, the combustion chamber or the source of the combustion is placed inside the boiler.